Yeah, final thoughts. To be honest, I'm pretty disappointed with this game. It wasn't really that scary, aside from like a couple instances here and there. It wasn't a terrible game. Like, I don't want to say that, but like, compared to Penumbra, compared to Soma, compared to the first Amnesia game, it's just not as good. I think the biggest problem with this game is like, yeah, Soma was very narratively driven, but in Soma, you understood the stakes. I'm gonna cancel this, because I don't want the music to interrupt me. In Soma, you understood the stakes, you understood what was happening at a base level, and I feel like the themes of Soma were more relatable, because you get to think about consciousness and what defines a human and stuff like that, and the most important thing is the characters. Like, you get to know people in that game. In this game, you're seeing everything after the fact, after everything is said and done. So, ironically, the fact that Amnesia is in this game might actually be the biggest problem with the story. Because you just don't give a fuck about what is going on. And there's so much... The puzzles are okay. From a gameplay perspective, it is better than Machine for Pigs. Because Machine for Pigs did not have any gameplay. It has an inventory, but at the same time, like, there's not really a lot to it. And I don't know how I feel about the match mechanic. I guess it's not too different from Tinderboxes, but it's just like a more punishing version of it. I guess I didn't hate it. It's just... It's weird, because like in the first game, you were kind of encouraged to hide in the darkness. Like, yeah, it would make your insanity go up, but it took a while for that to take effect, you know? And it didn't just straight up kill you. And in this game, it didn't really bother me that much, granted. But I've seen playthroughs of people playing this game, and they get really fucking irritated at the fear flash effect that happens when your insanity gets low. And I can see how a lot of people interpret it as being a jump scare. Apparently that's not what the developers were going for, but I understand the confusion. Regardless, it's a little too aggressive. I guess they're trying to make you paranoid, like if you're in a stealth segment, you can get caught off guard and be like, oh man, have I aggroed someone? It's like, no, it's just the fear. And to be honest, like, as far as the insanity mechanic goes, it feels very underutilized. Like, compare this to something like Eternal Darkness. I have not played Eternal Darkness myself, but I've seen a lot of footage of it. I know how insane the insanity mechanic can be in that game. You can get all kinds of funny looking... There's like these fake glitches and blue screens of death. Like, you don't even hallucinate like you do in The Dark Descent. In The Dark Descent, like, you would hallucinate cockroaches and shit. I wish they explored that more. Or you would see monsters that aren't really there if your insanity was at a certain level. And I think it was just better when the insanity it was tied to the inventory. You know, you just look at your brain, okay, that's how my sanity is doing, and this is how my health is doing. And the fact that they took it out, that's why they have to rely on the fear effect, which a lot of people find very annoying. Monsters are not very interesting. They're not even as interesting as they were in The Dark Descent. And yeah, you could say that a lot of the monsters in The Dark Descent were humanoids, but they were twisted enough that it was very disturbing. Especially with how disfigured their faces are. In this game, they look more like generic zombies or monsters. I like the Wraith enemy, but that's pretty much it. In fact, come to think of it, there's basically like... There's like a ghoul, there's the Wraith, and then there's the Shadow, and I believe that's about it. That's just 3 enemy types. In most of the game, there's not even that many stealth segments. Like, yeah, in Amnesia, they were paced... There was quite a distance between the stealth sections in that game, but... I don't know, I felt like it hit harder in The Dark Descent. Like, there's that part in The Dark Descent where you're in the torture chamber, and there's fucking fog everywhere, and there's underground trees, and it's kind of a maze, and there's a brute patrolling the area. It was creepy. And I like the sound effects whenever you were caught by a monster. It was unique. It made it more terrifying. And yeah, it's like this game, they were really banking on you caring about the pregnancy and the fucking baby. And I just don't. Maybe it's because I haven't been pregnant before, but I don't really relate to the baby story. And to be honest, I fucking hate babies, and I hate children, 9 times out of 10. And they have these dramatic moments where you, like, find out Leon is changed, but it's like, you don't fucking care. Because, like, you don't know who Leon is. You don't know who Leon is. You're just told about him in flashbacks. And there's a lot of starting and stopping for the early portions of this game where it's just cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. And it's like in the Dark Descent, they had it to where you could walk around. Like, yeah, it would slow down your character, but you could still kind of play when the flashbacks were happening. And they didn't happen that fucking often, not compared to this game. And as far as her talking a lot, I think it just comes down to the fact that you just don't care about her as a character. If she was a likable character, and you related more to her struggle, I think it would have made the fact that she talks so much less of an issue. But I can also see how people can argue that it pulls them out of the game, and it makes it less immersive, because you're constantly being reminded, I'm not in the game world, I'm just controlling a character. So I can see it from that angle. I said it was slightly better than Machine for Pigs, but as far as the story goes, like, it's really not a whole lot better. Like, yeah, people, you know, when they talk, it makes slightly more sense, you know, because people aren't just talking in riddles the whole time, but I don't think the story is told in a very compelling way. And I barely even knew what the fuck is going on. And from all the other Let's Players I've seen playing this game, most people don't know what the fuck is going on in this game. And, like, the Dark Descent, Penumbra, confusing, weird sometimes, but at the end of the day, it made sense. Okay, you could piece together what the fuck was going down. And I don't think the villain is interesting. Penumbra had way better villains. Like, the Turngate were way more intimidating. And Clarence was a great character that you had to deal with, and he fucked with you, and it was fun. Alexander has, like, a tragic backstory, and you could kind of relate to him in that way. His voice is cooler. And, yeah, I guess that's pretty much everything I could say. The music was whatever, it was okay. I would say the music a lot of the time felt a little manipulative, just because you didn't really care about the story, but it was like, oh, don't you feel sad about this? Isn't it so fucking dramatic? And the interesting thing is, like, speaking of Machine for Pigs, I've been hearing rumors that this game was actually given to, like, a different party. Like, it wasn't the original Amnesia team that developed this. So this is quite possibly another situation where it's like when they gave the rights to Chinese Room to make an Amnesia game. So I don't know how they make that mistake twice. And like I said, like, when it does connect to Amnesia, like, it doesn't seem to really matter. Like, you can just remove the name Amnesia and it wouldn't change anything. Like, does it really add much to the story of the first game that you know exactly what the alien world looks like? Not really. All you learn is that, like, it's normal to rely on Vitae and to, like, torture people to get energy. The shadow could have been removed, it wouldn't have changed anything about the plot. And speaking of the alien world, like, it looks kind of cool and interesting visually, but they fucked that up too, because, like, it's not alien enough. And I commented about this earlier. Like, they literally have alien chairs. They have alien ventilation shafts. Alien elevators. Like, it's way too human. Way too relatable. It feels like it doesn't fit for an alien world. When I think of an alien world, I think of something Lovecraftian, something beyond comprehension. You look at it and you can't make sense of anything going on. Because that's the point of it being alien. I mean, honestly, you could say that none of the Frictional games have a lot of replay value, but this one in particular, like, because the story is so boring, I really don't give a fuck. And to be honest, like, I think we actually spent too much time in the alien world. Like, I think it would have been interesting to go through caves and like, these abandoned desert towns more often. But we just spent, like, what, 50% of the game in the alien world? just getting sidetracked left, right, and center. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I guess that concludes it for this episode of Season of Nightmares. Hope you guys enjoyed this playthrough. It was interesting. It was a little creepy at times when you didn't know what to expect. Subscribe, comment, like if you enjoyed. Peace.